Ho, ho, hello, everybody. Today we have the most magical guest ever on Every Day is Friday podcast, straight from the North Pole, the man who makes Christmas dreams come true, the one and only Santa Claus.
Hello, Matthew. How are you?
I'm ineffable. It's
Oh,
great to have you.
I am so glad to be here. I guess I really didn't need to ask how you were because I know. And you have been good. You are on the nice list. I want to let you know that.
I appreciate you saying that. For all the listeners out there, just make sure you're on the nice list as well. And for the listeners who may not be familiar with your line of work yet, could you tell us what you do and why you do it?
Well, basically, I'm a delivery service. I deliver I try to deliver joy and happiness in the form of gifts to children and adults all around the world. So it is one of the greatest jobs in the world. Absolutely.
Now, life in the North Pole, what is it like living in the North Pole?
Oh, it is, for me, it's beautiful up there. We've got our own little, almost like our own little city up there. And, we've got the elves that just maintain facilities. They build toys. They take care of the reindeer, and we're decorated, 365, 24 hours a day. So we have a crew of elves that actually take care of the Christmas trees constantly. So, you got to replace those bulbs every once in a while, and an ornament gets broken here and there from the wind. So, yeah, but it's like Christmas every day.
Yeah, how cold does it get there?
You know, it can get pretty cold. Um, I have seen -70 and below. But the reindeer are actually made for that weather. The reindeer are a very unique animal, and that's why I use them to pull my sleigh because, of course, they're one of the few animals in the world that can handle those kind of temperatures. So they were created in just such a way that their body can thrive in that environment.
Yeah, it sounds like a magical and chilly place to live. I mean, how do you and Mrs. Claus stay warm?
Oh, we've got a nice little house. We've got the big warehouses for our toys. But everybody thinks of our place as a big castle, but it's actually more of a cozy little house. We've got just a few rooms, and of course they're big rooms because we entertain a lot with the elves there. But we've just got a few rooms, big living room with a fireplace and a couple of bedrooms and some storage rooms, but it's cozy. We like it as home. It's very simple. Most of our time we spend out in the workshop or in the reindeer barn, so we really don't need a whole lot.
Yeah,
Oh,
what do the elves do when they're not making toys?
oh well, we've got some elves that make toys around the clock. But they also have, they play a lot of games. The elves, they are a fun group. Let me tell you, they are always active in something. And to them, making toys is fun. And everything they do, they have a good time. Whether they're working with the reindeer or they're, working in the workshop or whatever it might be, the elves have a good time. And they can be a little bit mischievous, so they'll keep you on your toes.
Well, it sounds like the North Pole is always a busy and fun place. Do you ever go anywhere on vacation?
Oh, we do. Mrs. Claus and I, we like to go someplace where it's warm every once in a while. And, of course, I can't stay there long. I get pretty warm quickly. But, Mrs. Claus, she had gone down to Disney, actually. I think she just needed a little Mrs. Claus time. So she went down to Disney and she had a great time, and she actually brought me back. I don't have it with me right here. It's in my storage, but she brought me back a Santa hat with Mickey Mouse ears. So, and I have enjoyed that with the children this year. But yeah,
Now, that's
we go to,
great.
yes, yeah, we have a really good time.
Yeah, the reindeer and the sled. I mean, how do the reindeer fly?
Well, the flying reindeer, that is all magic. We do get help. I don't know. I haven't talked about this a whole lot, but we do get help from the fairies. Different colored fairy dust can make the reindeer fly. It can kind of slow down time. It can help me go in and out of chimneys, all kinds of little things. Ugh. But
Can I?
that's the
So,
secret to the reindeer flying.
wow, that's really cool. I mean, which reindeer is the fastest?
Oh, that would be Dasher. Dasher, that's how he got his nickname or his name, because as a young reindeer, he was constantly dashing from one place to the other. And finally, we just started calling him Dasher, and he is absolutely the fastest. Oh. Rudolph is close, but Dasher, he loves to run.
Yeah, those
I don't think he
reindeer must
walks
be
anywhere.
amazing to see in action.
Oh, they are fun. They have, you've heard of the reindeer games. They're just like the elves. They enjoy what they're doing, and they make a game out of everything. And when we are going around the world, it's almost like a game of tag for them because they're all trying to outrun the other. So it makes for a very fast and fun trip.
Yeah, what do the reindeer eat usually?
Well, when we are at the North Pole, one of their favorite things is lichen. It's a very short-growing plant, um, and that's one of their favorites. But when we're on our trips around the world, they eat a lot of carrots and apples and raisins. Raisins are one of the deer's favorites. And children leave out all kinds of things for my reindeer. It is so nice of them. A lot of vegetables, mainly carrots, and that keeps them energized for the trip.
That's so cool and that's so interesting at the same time. I mean, how do you keep the sleigh from tipping over with all the gifts?
Oh, well, that's another magical thing that happens. And, the sleigh is so balanced. I could take my big gift bag and I could put it on any corner of the sleigh. And the way the sleigh is designed, it will keep its balance. So it never gets out of balance. Almost like, it's almost like a gyroscope underneath that keeps it balanced. So those elves, they're genius.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. I
They
mean,
do. They do. Absolutely.
it sounds like you got a lot of everything perfectly planned for the trip every Christmas. I mean, has the sleigh ever been broken down for Christmas?
We have had a few instances where we've had a couple of issues, mainly if I'm coming in for a landing and we're trying to get under something and over something and around, we might damage a rail or something here and there just because of the tight squeeze that we have, and some pretty tight flight patterns at times. So we have a team of elves that are always on call. If I have a problem, they are right there, and they can do some repairs pretty quick. And if the sled can't be repaired, the sled that they bring to do the repairs is one of my extras, and we can switch things over to the new sled or new sleigh and just take right off.
Wow, that's very fascinating.
Yep, they've really thought this out. We've had a lot of years of experience. Oh,
I got a question for you that
yes.
I've always been a big fan of. What's Rudolph really like?
Rudolph is amazing. Very humble reindeer, uh, always ready to help. It doesn't matter whether it's our sleigh or whether we're working at the North Pole and we have to move toys from one barn to a warehouse or whatever it may be. He is always willing to hook onto that sleigh and help pull it around because they do a lot. They do a lot of work during the year as well as their trip. That keeps them in good shape, pulling all those sleighs of toys around from the workshop to the warehouses. So, but Rudolph is a very kind and humble reindeer.
Okay. Now, when you're making toys, I mean, how do you decide what toys to make each year?
It's very interesting. Do a little bit of research and marketing. I like to follow what the kids are enjoying. And I know if they're, for the last few years, of course, video games have been very popular. And we don't do so much video games, but we like to make the things that go with the video games, like the toys for Minecraft, or or different or something for Roblox. All the little toys that go along with that. The things that the kids can play with their imagination, and that's the kind of things that we do. So
Yeah, how many toys do you make every year?
oh, it's literally billions. That's why that's why the elves are working every day on toys. That is our largest group of workers. They are the ones that do a lot of the toys and all things like that. And of course, the supporting staff that, the elves that maintain the tools and all that kind of stuff. They're all very busy. And, they have such a good work ethic. As I said, to them, work is play. They just enjoy it and they have a good time. And I have to tell them, no, you guys have got to take a rest. It's no need to work 14 hours a day. Just take some time. And because they will work around the clock if we didn't slow them down.
That's incredible. I mean, those elves must work so hard. I mean, what's the most popular toy this year?
Oh, this year, there's been several. Of course, one that's always popular with the young girls is Barbie. And she's been around since the 50s. And, the elves help Mattel make those and do a lot of design changes to keep up with the current times. And then magnetiles. I don't know if you're familiar with magnetiles. It's building tiles that are magnets. And those are very popular. Legos are always probably the number one requested gift. Every year would be Legos. And of course, the girls like LOL dolls, and Squishmallows are big for everybody. Boys and girls like Squishmallows. All kinds of things. And there's always RC cars, and boys, girls, moms and dads, everybody likes RC cars. And drones are really picking up. So, yeah, there's quite a variety.
Yeah, the toy making process sounds like a lot of fun and teamwork involved into it. I mean, how do you test the toys to make sure they work?
Well, we've got an R&D department. They do the development of new toys, and they also have a lab. They call it our durability reliability lab. So they can test to see how durable the toys are and how well they work. And if they need a little bit of adjustment, then they can send that back to the elves that do design. And, they use all kinds of, I don't know if you're familiar with computer aided design, CAD. The elves have actually gotten quite into that. We do use the internet. The Aurora Borealis is our power supply, the Northern Lights. So we've got a pretty good supply of power up there. So we do a little bit of everything. And like I said, it's huge R&D, and that's a lot of fun.
I can only imagine. That's really cool. I mean, the naughty or nice list. I know you mentioned that I was on the nice list this year. I mean, how do you know if kids are being naughty or nice?
Well, Mrs. Claus and Bernard helped me a lot. Bernard's my head elf, but they helped me a lot with my naughty and nice list. And a lot of children will come up to me and say, "Do you know my name? Do you know my name?" And I let them know that, if you're on the good list, a lot of times you don't remember your name as much. But if you're on the naughty list, those are the names that I remember, because I really have to watch out for that. So, but I find that most children are on the nice list.
Yeah, is it hard to keep track of everyone in the world?
It would be if I didn't have such a great staff. Of course, Bernard and Mrs. Claus. Mrs. Claus does a lot of the logistics. What people don't realize is Mrs. Claus is in charge of the North Pole. Now, I like to think of myself as the face of the operation. I'm out front, meeting and greeting and having a good time. But the elves and Mrs. Claus, they're doing the hard work. So I get the fun stuff.
Oh, indeed you do. I mean, that's such a big job. I mean, but it sounds like you've got a lot under control at the end of the day. I mean, can kids get off the naughty list if they're trying to be better?
Oh, kids can get off the naughty list. And I have seen that change happen, and it is just joyous. Yep. You'll see some kids that might be having a few issues at school. Maybe they could be bullying or something like that. And they learn and they change their attitudes and, and they switch over to the nice list. And that's always a big celebration at the North Pole.
Yeah, have you ever had someone surprise you by going from the naughty to the nice list?
I have had that happen several times throughout history, and it is, again, such a joy. I had one little boy who he was kind of a bully, and he was very difficult for the teachers to manage and for the kids to get along with, and he was not very good with his chores at home. And he got to the point where no one wanted to play with him. No one was engaging with him. And he finally realized that it was how he was treating other people. And when he changed that, it was night and day. So he got on the nice list, and he has been there ever since.
No, it's great to hear that being nice and kind it really matters.
Oh, it absolutely makes a difference. If you wander around, in any area, different times of the year, if you are in an area around, summer or fall, and if you're in that same area around Christmas time, you can just feel the spirit. And it turns a lot of people are more patient or, more willing to put others first during the holiday time. And you can just feel that. It's a wonderful time of year.
Indeed it is. I mean, do you ever give presents to kids who are on the naughty list?
Well, I find that by Christmas, most of the kids have realized the mistakes they've made, and they're usually on the nice list by the time Christmas rolls around. So,
Yeah, what's one thing a kids can do to stay in the nice list?
Well, I can tell you, I often tell children when they're visiting me and they're telling me what they want for Christmas, I have asked children, how do you think you get on the nice list? What do you think you need to do? And because I like to get it right from the children. And several of the children have said, be nice to my brothers or sisters. And I said, absolutely. Help mom and dad. That's another great way to do it. Clean up their room or do their chores. There's a lot of things they can do to be on the nice list, but the biggest thing is to be kind to others. If you're kind to others, that kindness comes right back to you. And it's a wonderful thing. So that's the number one thing. Be kind.
Yeah, be kind. That's the number one thing to everyone out there and the listeners. Be kind to everyone.
That's
and
right.
For the Christmas journey, the Christmas Eve journey, I mean, how do you visit every house in one night?
Oh, that is so amazing. Even I'm amazed to this day. But, everybody thinks that I have to deliver to every house on Christmas Eve. But, there's different countries at different areas that celebrate Christmas at different times of the year. And I actually have 33 hours because of the way the rotation of the earth is and where I start my deliveries. And what is nice for me is being up at the North Pole, I can enter any time zone very quickly from up there because all the time zones start to come together and I can zip in and out of different time zones. But I can deliver, it's when we go through the Aurora Borealis, time can be affected. That's our source of power at the North Pole, but it also can affect time. So if I zip in and out as I go through the different zones, then it's almost like time stands still. So it's quite amazing to feel that on the journey.
That's remarkable. I mean, do you ever get tired on your journey?
You know, I just feed off of the energy from, the from all the boys and girls, all the parents and all the adults that have just got so much joy. I think that just permeates me, and it just keeps me going, gives me energy, you know, and I eat a lot of cookies on my trip as well.
That must be such a magical night.
Oh, there is nothing like holding the reins of the reindeer, flying miles above the earth, looking down at all the beautiful lights. There's nothing like it. We'll have to go for a ride sometime.
Indeed, we shall. I mean, how do you land a sleigh so quietly?
Well, I often tell boys and girls about a story about the sleigh bells on Santa's sleigh. It doesn't make sense that Santa would have sleigh bells on his sleigh, but I tell them the story that when I had my very first sleigh, the very first sleigh was painted black, and it was no sound. And I could land silently, but I kind of had a problem as I flew across lakes because waterfowl could not see me or hear me because I was so quiet. So we had to add some sleigh bells because of a few little incidents I had with ducks and geese. So we added the sleigh bells, but when we're coming in, we're usually so late at night that, all the children are asleep and they just don't hear me come in. And the reindeer have been well trained to land without a big thump. Every once in a while, if we're coming in and there's a tree or something and we have to go under wires, sometimes it might get a little bumpy, but the reindeer are professionals.
Yeah, do you ever get lost on Christmas Eve?
I fly by the stars, and every area is in zones, and I can recognize the zones I'm in with the stars. And if I ever get off track, the reindeer as well, mainly Rudolph. Rudolph is quite the guide, and Rudolph, I think, could probably do the route with just one eye open. Rudolph is amazing. So Rudolph is kind of my backup. If I ever start to get twisted or turned around because of the weather, there might be fog or heavy blizzards or whatever it may be, Rudolph knows the way.
It's amazing how everything works out so perfectly every single year for Christmas.
Oh, we have our challenges every once in a while, and it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase like a duck on the water. Below the water, the duck's feet are going fast, fast, fast. But up above, everything looks smooth. Let me tell you, the elves and the reindeer and everybody are just working, working, working fast. But it all looks so smooth and effortless. But it can be a hectic time. But they handle it very well.
Very well indeed. I mean, what's your favorite part of delivering all the presents?
Oh, my favorite part. I would have to say, every once in a while, and I've told this story as well, I get caught by a child, and I have a magic feather that when I drop that feather, the child is back in bed and back asleep. But before that happens, we have a cookies and milk party like you wouldn't believe. And I enjoy that time with the children, and then I drop my magic feather, and when it touches the floor, they're back in bed and back asleep, and they don't remember that in the morning. But those times are special to me.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean, what's your favorite part of the holiday season?
Oh, I think my favorite part of the holiday season is when I get to visit with the children before Christmas, just before Christmas. And I'm in various locations, and I'm visiting, and I am finding out the dreams and and what the children want. And I'm seeing all those smiles. Those smiles just are incredible. And that's my favorite part of the season. It's just before I deliver and the excitement that's building up and the joy on those children's faces. And to me, the children, they could be infants to 100. I see the excitement on all the children. Of course, when you're as old as I am, everyone's children.
That's so true. I mean, what's your favorite Christmas cookie replacement?
My favorite replacement. So I have been to different places where they don't leave me cookies. And I have had pizza in Chicago. And I'll tell you, that's really good. I have had burritos down in Mexico. And, let me see, what is it? I have had boiled peanuts in South Carolina. There has just been all kinds of things left for Santa. And, for the reindeer as well, because, when I get something different like that, I like to share it so that we can all experience that. Some of the local cuisine is kind of unique, very, very tasty. So, but it's a little bit, but I would think if I had to choose, I would say pizza's probably one of my favorite replacements. Such a variety.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, pizza's a great replacement for basically cookies, but cookies, I'm going to tell you, is number one for me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Cookies are number one. And it doesn't matter if they're snickerdoodle, chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin. I like all of them. I often have the children ask me, well, what's your favorite cookie? And I just tell them, the one you leave me is my favorite cookie.
Yep, every year I leave out cookies for you. And what's your favorite Christmas song?
Oh, my favorite Christmas song. It depends on the mood I'm in, really. If I'm feeling all excited and happy, and, a lot of times Santa Claus is Coming to Town is one of my favorites because it just reminds me of the big journey. I love that. Another one that I really like, there's several different versions, but Little Drummer Boy. Little Drummer Boy, many different artists have done it, and they've done such a beautiful job. I think David Bowie and Bing Crosby I think it was Crosby, did a version, and I just love that. So different.
Yeah, those are some wonderful Christmas favorites. I mean,
oh, and when I'm really charged up, Mannheim Steamroller, they've got some great Christmas music.
I've already asked, you already mentioned this, but I mean, you already said that. What's your favorite? I was going to ask you, what's your favorite cookie to eat on Christmas Eve?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And like I say, I tell the children, the one you leave me is my favorite. And that's true because my favorite cookie, I just like them all. I like them all. So the one that the child usually leaves is one of their favorites. And that works for me because I am not very prejudiced when it comes to cookies. I can tell you that. So,
No, you got some great taste when it comes to Christmas. I'll tell you that much. And you do. You really do. I mean, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I mean, what's your favorite part of being Santa?
Oh, my favorite part of being Santa. I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, and, seeing the joy, but, children ask me at times, what do you want for Christmas, Santa? And I tell them, I want smiles. I collect smiles in my memory. And when I see those smiles, it brightens up my whole day, life, night. I would do this every year just for the smiles.
Can I ask you, what does Christmas mean to you?
Well, Christmas to me, of course, for me personally, Christmas is, celebrates the birth of Jesus. And to me, that is very special. And I like to remember that. And that is something that is foremost in the front of that for me. And I feel that I am representing that goodness when I make when I deliver. I am trying to bring that joy that he brought, many, many thousands years ago. So, and I like to try to do the same thing in a small way.
Yeah, I mean, spreading Christmas cheer, and how can kids and families spread Christmas cheer?
I think, the joy of giving, even when you're a young child, I see a lot of children go to little markets at their school, and they get gifts for mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or their brothers and sisters. And if you've ever seen the joy on a child when they've got something that they can give someone, it's incredible. They get more excited about that than they do about receiving gifts. And that's something that you can do. You can just share that joy by sharing or giving something. And it's not necessarily a gift. It could just be an act of kindness or something that you can do for someone else. Putting other people first will always, always make you feel joyful. When you put others first, you will always get that joy back.
Yeah, for me, it's a season of sharing and giving. I mean, that's a beautiful way to think about Christmas. I mean, the best way to, what's the best way to stay in the holiday spirit for you?
Oh, for me, year round, I am, we're working, we're planning. I keep those memories of all those smiles and everything that I have seen from year to year. And that just keeps it in my heart year round. And you cannot see as many smiles and the happiness on so many faces and not have that become part of you. There is nothing better. And that just keeps me going from year to year. The joy that I see in the faces of others when they get that gift or they get that special, I guess you could say, act of service from someone. When somebody cares enough to do something for them, and when you see their faces, it's priceless, and that'll keep you energized from year to year.
Question I've always wanted to ask you, because this is the mentality I have. I mean, why is giving so important than receiving?
I think the big thing that I see is that when people have that deep feeling that what they have done has brought joy to someone else, whether it's giving a gift or, again, giving of yourself, giving of your time, or giving of your energy to serve someone, to help someone. I really believe that it's something that affects you physically, it affects you mentally, it gives you, I guess it just releases all those endorphins. It just floods your system. And you just want to do it again. So I think that's what it is about giving. It just floods your system with that feeling of goodness.
Yeah, your message about kindness and giving is so inspiring.
So, well, that is really kind of boils down to what it's all about, giving. Because, from the very beginning, I had mentioned that the birth of Jesus, that was giving. It's all about giving. You're right. Receiving is fun, but giving is what really gives you the joy.
How can people keep Christmas spirit alive all year round?
Oh, again, I think that it is just giving of yourself. We talk about how giving at Christmas time, but just imagine, if simple things, driving down the road if when somebody turns their turn signal on, you give, you allow them to move over into your lane, or you hold the door open for someone, or, you buy an extra cup of coffee for somebody that's coming in line behind you, or just that kind of thing. It changes people. It really does. It changes people. And, I like to give, because like you said, I do go on vacation at times, and the children, I might be wearing just jeans and t-shirt, I'm kind of in disguise, but the children know, and they recognize me. So I keep these little plastic tokens, and I give those to children and to adults, and they just say, "You were caught being good." And, just that little thing sometimes brightens up the day for them. I have had adults say, I was having a very tough day, and this just makes me so happy. So it's just those little things can keep it going year round for me, and the same thing for anyone else. If they decide to give kindness or something little, just to acknowledge that people are special. So I saw a shirt. I saw a lady in a line with a shirt on, and the back of the shirt had a message that said, "You're special," to the person behind them. And I just thought that was a great attitude, a great way to share kindness with others.
Yeah, you must have so many pretty amazing stories from all your adventures. I mean, what's one thing about Santa that most people don't know?
Something that most people don't know. Well, most people don't realize that, Santa is a lot like them. I'm not a whole lot different than other people. The children, I wear my coat and my and that's how they see me all the time. When they think, oh, it's Santa, the big red coat and a big red hat. But when I'm working at the North Pole, I'm wearing a pair of jeans and a flannel shirt, out with the hay fork, with my reindeer, and I have to take lunch breaks, and we have clothes to wash and dishes, and people don't think of Santa as being a person like that. And that's, everybody has to do those little things, and Santa and Mrs. Claus are the same. We have our little tasks that we have to do, and and that's what a lot of people don't realize about Santa. Santa's just like everyone else. I just have the greatest job in the world.
So true, so true. I mean, post-Christmas, how do you relax after Christmas is over?
Oh, I do kind of take a few long naps, I can tell you that. But after that, the joy that I felt, just it doesn't go away, and it energizes me to get back to work, back to helping the elves in the toy barn, or back to taking care of the reindeer, or maybe taking a trip to keep an eye on people to see if they're being good, and just those kind of little things. I like to think of myself as an ambassador for the North Pole during the year. So you'll see me a lot of times in July. We do Christmas in July, and Christmas at different times of the year, and that's when I'm just kind of being my ambassador, playing my ambassador role for the North Pole.
Now, what's the first thing you do when you get back from the North Pole?
Oh, the first thing I do, go to bed. Oh, when I get back to the North Pole after my delivery, I go to bed, and I sleep for a full day, I think. It can, I'm kind of up there in age, so that could be a tiring night at times. And even though I eat a lot of cookies to keep my energy up, by the time it's all said and done, Mrs. Claus calls it the cookie crash. I come home, I stop, and that's it. Santa nods right out.
Yeah, you definitely earned some time to relax after all that hard work.
Oh, but it's good and it's worth it. Every year, it's worth it.
Yeah, what do you and Mrs. Claus do to celebrate after Christmas?
Well, one of the things that we like to do is, it's cold at the North Pole for most people, but we like to just get out and walk through our village, we call it, and kind of talk to the elves, encourage them, let them know how the children reacted to their gifts. We get to share all that, and we just kind of take that stroll through, and that's kind of another thing that we do annually, just to encourage the elves, to let them know how appreciated they are. So that's kind of one of the things that we like to do. They are remarkable, and we always want to share that with them. So that's something that we always do. That kind of helps us to, not only does it keep the morale up for our elves, but it just gives us joy to do that.
Yeah, it sounds like everyone at the North Pole has a well-deserved rest after everything they do there.
Oh, they do. It's a big holiday. Up until probably New Year's, you know, it's a lot of, they do a lot of gift giving there, and we have, you know, big big dinners and all kinds of different things for that. And it just gets everybody ready. And it's very difficult. I have to run them out of the workshop at times because they just love doing that. And oh no, you get home, get with your families and you know, and after that first week, they're ready to go back at it. But it is a big celebration up there after Christmas.
Yeah, do you ever hear about the stories about how excited kids are on Christmas morning?
Oh, I kind of follow up on that. And, you know, I keep an eye out to see if they're bad or good. And I kind of like to watch some of the reactions on Christmas morning. So Mrs. Claus and I do kind of enjoy sitting back and watching some of that. We've got ways to see that.
Yeah, what's the funniest story you've ever heard or seen when a kid's opening their presents?
Oh, let me think about that one. I see I see all kinds of things, let me tell you. Um, but I think one of the funniest is when a child got a gift, and it was just a squeaky toy. And I'll tell you, as soon as they squeaked that thing, they had a puppy. And that puppy that little boy and that little puppy were just rolling around on the floor, wrestling and pulling on the plane. And that was pretty fun. That was an enjoyable little thing that we watched. Um, it was fun.
Yeah, those reactions must be the all-time, like, it just be worth all that hard work.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. To see that little children, their hearts are so pure. When they laugh, it is from, it is from the inside out. You just see it, you feel it, and to see them laughing and rolling on the floor and just having such a good time. I have seen children laughing so hard they can't stand up because they're so little, and there's nothing better. It's like music.
Yeah, I mean, how does it feel knowing that you brought joy to millions of kids?
It's indescribable. It really is. There's no words that I can put to that feeling. Oh, it's it's just something you feel. You can't express it.
Yeah, the magic of Christmas morning sounds so special, and it is. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
what do you think the best part of Christmas morning is?
Oh, the best part of Christmas morning, it is definitely seeing the joy, the love on the faces. You can see it. You can see how when a parent and a child are interacting, and just how warm that is, how pure, how honest and deep that is. That is one of the best things ever.
Yeah, when do you start planning for the next Christmas?
Well, we never stop planning. Even if we're having one of our big Christmas parties, celebrations, post-Christmas, we're talking about it even then, because that's what brings all this joy. So the planning never stops. And trying to improve and trying to make sure that we are making just the right toys at the right time, it just never stops. It's always ongoing. And we take those few days and we talk and we laugh and we have fun. But usually come the 1st of January or so, it's business as usual. Oh, back to building toys. And that's usually when it starts.
It's amazing how much work goes into making Christmas every year so special.
Oh, people don't realize the logistics. If you put UPS, Amazon, Temu, you put all these services together, that's just a portion of what we deliver every year. So it's quite if it wasn't for Mrs. Claus and the system that we have in place, it would be a logistic nightmare.
Yeah, it sounds like teamwork is a big part of what makes Christmas happen.
Absolutely. Teamwork all the way from, the entry-level elves that are working on toys, all the way up to Bernard, my head elf, Mrs. Claus. Everybody works together. That's the only way it can happen.
Yeah, what's your first thing on your to-do list for Christmas next season?
The first thing on my to-do list, well, I like to stay current with toys. I like to keep a feel, like my finger on the pulse of the toy industry. So I do some visiting of some toy manufacturers and I try to find out what is the next hot thing and stay on top of that. That's a very important thing for us to do at the North Pole. We have to make sure we're going in the right direction with our toy making. So that's something that I always keep right up there, right up front.
Yeah, it sounds like you test out all the new technology and you probably test out new flying tricks as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. With the changing environment, with, the different wind currents going in different directions and downdrafts, finding better ways to navigate through that constantly. There's a lot to that. And, a lot of that work goes to Bernard. He kind of keeps that in motion. And, we do a lot of test flights. We do test flights. We have to also work very close with the FAA because, most of our flying is at night. Because as I've told children, they ask me, where's your sleigh? Where's the reindeer? Oh, when I visit down south of the North Pole, I can only fly at night. Because if I were to fly during the day, could you imagine flying over some of the busy interstates like, in Michigan, you've got I-75 and 475 and 59. And you've got all these big freeways. Could you imagine flying over that during the day? There'd be so many people looking up and not looking at the road. There'd be accidents everywhere. So we only fly at night, and we do our test flights at night as well.
That's great insight. I mean, do you have anyone you want to call out or anything you want to call out before we close out the podcast?
If I were to call someone out, as you know, Santa can't be everywhere all the time. Santa is not omnipresent. So I have a lot of helpers that report back to me. And these helpers, they go for training at different locations. There's Santa schools around the country. Up in Midland, Michigan, there's a Santa school, C.W. Howard. In Texas, Cornerstones, um, in Branson, School for Santas. There's all these different schools that I have to train and teach these people how to interact with children and the proper way to record the information for their lists and all that kind of stuff and how to report back to me. So I would like to give a shout out to all those helpers that I have that spend a lot of their time learning how to portray Santa and helping me serve others. That's who I would like to call all my helpers out there. They do a very important job for me.
Indeed, they do. I mean, thank you for joining us on today on Every Day is Friday podcast. A big thank you to Santa Claus for taking his time and chatting up what he does on his busy holiday schedule. And
Oh,
I
thank
really do
you.
enjoy it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matthew. And I really enjoy what you're doing. And you keep up the good work. Good job.
And until next time, everyone, stay joyful and remember, every day is Friday.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed, everybody. Talk to you soon. This thing.